Ambitious women, entrepreneurs are beginning a movement to create a new way of business that focuses on collaboration and community. Together, we are shaping the way by using our intuition, our inner insight, and our creativity. Join us for inspiration, motivation, and transformation. This is your host, Luci McMonagle, and this is the Wealthy Wednesday Show. A special thanks to Gordon Reary for creating the music. You can find him on Facebook under Gordon Reary. So now, let's get started.
Hey, we have another edition of the Wealthy Wednesday Show just for you so that you can become more empowered and so that you can be able to really make an impact on your life and your business just like you desire. Today we have a phenomenal guest. Her name is Debbie Pokornik, and she is a mother, a green tea enthusiast, a nature lover, and an award-winning author and a social worker. She's the Chief Empowerment Officer at her company, Empowering NRG, which helps everyday moms create extraordinary lives so that they can be in their power at work, at home, and at play. Have to remember to do that play. Definitely, ladies. So she's the author of Standing in Your Power, Break Free of Parenting Pressures and Family Booster Shots. So Debbie lives in a small acreage in Manitoba where she enjoys long walks with her dog and connecting with nature on a regular basis. Debbie, I'm so excited to have you on the Wealthy Wednesday Show. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Luci. I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
Wow, you are truly the Chief Empowerment Officer of your company, and you are so good at really helping moms and other individuals that are so looking to really break free. And can you tell us a little bit on how a vibrant, powerful mom is different from other moms? Is there a difference between these ladies?
Well, yes, there is. And the main difference really is that a vibrant, powerful mom is tuned in to what she needs to really live her life fully awake. So she's not on autopilot all the time. She's paying attention to what's going on around her, what strengthens her, what weakens her, what are her trigger points. She has oodles of tools to help her so that when she's feeling stressed, she has ideas she can try to help her decrease the stress, because the reality is we're all going to have stress, right, all the time. Yes. So she has tools to do that, and she gives herself permission to really tap into her own creativity, even when it comes to, say, dealing with her kids or dealing with a business problem or whatever it is. She gives herself the opportunity to really think about, okay, so what's going to work best here? And even if she hasn't tried it before, she's willing to take it a step further and give it a try. So she's not being a perfectionist. She's not micromanaging. She's not thinking she has to be perfect, but she's just very tuned in to who she is and how she wants to live this life. And she refuses to settle for anything less.
Wow. And that can go across the board for a soccer mom, that can go across the board from a mom entrepreneur or a mom employee, all the way across, where really when a woman is in tune with what her needs are and she's able to tap into her creativity, she's really able to find empowering solutions. And that's really a lot of what the Wealthy Wednesday is about, is to really empower women so that they can make a difference in their life, if their life is just their family or maybe it's global.
Right.
And you have this certain way that you help these powerful women step into their own power at work and as a business owner. Can you tell us a little bit on how does she do that?
I can, but you need to know that like anything in life, it's really not a balanced state. You know, you're not always this vibrant, powerful mom. It's like a teeter-totter, right? And so you're constantly kind of correcting and trying to think about, what do I need right now? So that changes all the time, depending on the person, depending on the situation, depending on everything. And so there is no one size fits all way to do this, but there is so many pieces that overlap. Let's say that, for example, you might have your daughter, let's say, comes home from school and tells you that she's being picked on by somebody, another kid in the class. And so you work with her on being assertive. You help her to figure out what that means, how her body needs to look when she's being assertive, where she should be looking, you know, to make sure she's not doing the meek, head down, eyes down, feeling inferior, all of those things. And you help her, you coach her, because that's what you do. You're a mom. And then the very next day, you might go into your office environment or wherever it is. You might work from home, doesn't matter. And a supplier might start giving you the runaround. And you might be getting very frustrated and angry with this supplier, and all of a sudden go, oh, wait a minute. This is exactly what I was teaching my daughter. I need to stand up assertively here and, you know, stand up for what I need. So many of the things that help us to be a vibrant, powerful mom are the same things that will help us in running a business or being an entrepreneur or whatever it is that you're doing. And it just depends on what the situation is for you.
Wow. Wow. And that so often that happens to us. We'll be teaching our clients or we'll be teaching our children something, and then boom, just as if it's smack there, it helps us to really reaffirm that, yeah, I'm doing this right. And if I just stand up and I find out what my needs are, then I'm able to really be more assertive, to really be tuned in. And that's so vital, especially today with the women in the world, is to be tuned into their needs, to be tuned into their desires, and to be able to, you know, hold your head up high, be proud. You're a woman. Yeah. You were here for a reason.
You have a very important job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you have, why is it so important? Because I can give my take on why I feel it's important, but why is it important that we take our lives as a full package, not kind of like just do the separation? Because we've been really well taught that everything gets compartmentalized.
Yes.
And you're teaching us that our true intuition, where we were originally, where we took life as all of its flavors, its full package in, is the right way. But how do we get back to that state?
Yes.
And could you?
And you know, it's interesting to me. I'm sorry, were you saying something?
Oh, I just said, could you give us some tips on that?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry. That's the thing with these videos, is your mouth moves a little bit after.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that we have been so well trained to look at our lives as if things are kind of in silos. So you want to be effective at home, and then you go to work and you want to be effective at work. And then there's even that silo of spirituality. I mean, along with all of your hobbies or maybe your volunteer work or whatever you do. And we tend to separate things as if they shouldn't overlap too much. But we all know that you're kind of fooling yourself, right? If you go, let's say you go to drop your child off at daycare, and the daycare worker pulls you aside and says, you know what, your son is biting the other kids, and we can't have your son biting the other kids, so you're going to have to figure something out, or you're going to have to find another daycare. Now you head off to work and you're crushed. You're not in a great state because, first of all, biting is one of those things, we think of it as a feral thing, right? So your child feels like your child's being an animal, and we don't like to think of our child as an animal. They're not. This is actually fairly normal for a lot of kids to do. Or maybe you're going through a tough time. Maybe you and your husband or your partner have just split up, and so maybe you're thinking, oh, it's because of what they're dealing with at home, and you're feeling bad about that. my point is this. If you try to just go to work and pretend that everything's good, it's not going to be good. You're going to struggle to not overreact to things, to not be emotional, to be able to focus on what's being said, unless you have some ways to deal with it. And so if you just take a moment, instead of on your way to work thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I have to have this spot in this daycare. If instead maybe you did some deep breathing, that might be a tool that really helps you. If you know how to do the oxytocin breath, which I actually talk about in the giveaway that we're giving to people today, how to get oxytocin flowing through your body, which helps to calm you. It helps to get rid of excess cortisol and makes you feel beautiful and loving. So it's a really great thing to do. Maybe you need to take a moment and meditate. Maybe that's something from your spiritual life that you do to calm yourself down, but you never think to do it in that minute before you go into the office. So maybe that would be helpful here. Maybe you want to talk to your higher self and have your higher self talk to your child's higher self about why they're biting and what's going on. So there's so many tools and tricks and things that we can have so that we don't have to be in this silo thinking that, okay, this part of my life should never cross with this part of my life. Because everything is connected. And everything affects us. And interestingly enough, most of us are starting to understand that, okay, if this happens at home, if I'm in a fight with my partner, that is going to affect me. We still don't always have the tools, and we don't necessarily use those tools to deal with it. But what we often don't do is we don't integrate our spiritual thinking. The meditating, the deep breathing, the yoga, the things that we do to look after ourselves, we don't bring them into our work life because there is still such a fear that we might be judged by others or treated, badly. It's that witch thing, right? That we're going to be burned at the stake.
Yes.
And so we have those pieces with us. And yet when you do that, you're severing off a part of yourself for that whole 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is that you're at work. And so my thinking is, how do we integrate everything so that when you're with your kids, you can give it your all? When you're at work, you can give it your all. And when you're doing self-care, you can give it your all, but you can also sprinkle it throughout your day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's a really powerful concept. Is to really understand, in order for us to give it our all in whatever we're working on, is to understand that this is all connected. We are interconnected with our jobs, we're interconnected with our clients, we're interconnected with our children, our family, and our environment. And one of the most important things that I feel like you mentioned is self-care.
Yes.
Yes, and so many moms, they put self-care as one of those things I'll get back here on the back shelf when I have the time. And self-care is also a form of pleasure that women experience when they take care of themselves. Could you tell us a little bit on how can women bring more pleasure into their lives, and why is that so important as being a mom or being an entrepreneur?
Absolutely, Lucy. And you hit the nail on the head there when you were saying about self-care and putting it kind of on the back burner. Pleasure is not something that we only deserve once in a while. It's not something that we bring in when we go on holidays and the rest of the year, we have to do without. It's not something you have to earn. Pleasure, in fact, is how you feed the divine feminine. Now, every one of us is made up of both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. It's not a 50-50 share. In fact, typically women need more of the divine feminine and a little less of the divine masculine. And men tend to be the opposite. But, it varies for each of us. And once you understand that, in our masculine society, we have distanced ourselves from the divine feminine. And that side of us has kind of been pushed away so that we can be logical and independent and produce and do all the things we need to do to survive in this man's world, right? And that is a huge problem, because one of the things we cut out is our need for pleasure. But pleasure feeds the divine feminine. And if you are not bringing pleasure into your life on a regular basis, and by that I mean daily, right, then you're not feeding the divine feminine, and you will burn out. You will find that you're in that fight and flight response way too much, that your adrenals just can't handle it, that you have way too much cortisol, and it's causing all kinds of problems for you. Plus, cortisol is a critical hormone that we actually need for healthy living. So if we're wasting it on other things, then we can make ourselves really ill. So it's absolutely critical that we bring pleasure into our lives. And yet, here's the thing that really mystifies me, but I'm guilty of it as well, is that when I ask a woman, so what brings you pleasure? They typically will have a very short list. Most of them, if they're entrepreneurs, they'll say my business. I love my business. I could do my business 24 hours a day. I love it so much. And then they'll say, my family, my kids, their partner, if they have a partner, they bring me pleasure. And I usually will say, well, that's great. Those things are wonderful, and it's super that you love them and they bring you pleasure. But I guarantee you, they also bring you a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. And so that pleasure you get from them is often equaled out with stress. And so you need to figure out, way more little things that you can do that bring you pleasure on a regular basis. And I mean, that can be anything from music. It can be a wonderful thing. Dancing, just moving your hips. In fact, did you know that creativity actually gets stuck in our hips? Of all places, hey? So get up and move around, belly dance. You don't have to be good at it. I sure am not. But I'll put on some Jesse Cook playing his guitar, and I'll start dancing around the kitchen while I'm making supper, just as a way to get myself in that mood. Because otherwise I really don't like cooking. I don't like being in the kitchen. I'm home. I work at home. So I'm home first to make supper. And so I make it most of the times. But it can be not as much fun as it should be. So I wanted to bring me pleasure. And so just paying attention to what are those little things, getting out in nature, going for walks, sitting in the sunshine. Sunshine actually is a very important part. It ignites all the pleasure centers in our brain the same way that really great food or other activities that we might do on our own or can do that. So, all of those things can bring you pleasure, but what's right for me will be different for you. And so you have to figure out what is that balance. And you don't want all your pleasure to come from the same thing. So if work brings you pleasure, that's wonderful. But what are the other things that you can bring into your life? Is it patting an animal? Is it, playing with an animal? Is it cuddling with your child? Is it reading a good story? There's just so many things, and it's not limited to you as a person. So in my book, Standing in Your Power, I talk about a whole bunch of different kinds, because there's so many ways to really get that pleasure.
Exactly, and that's really important. And one of the most important things that you touched upon is moving your hips while you're doing something else that's making you breathe deeply and moving that creativity energy up, because that's also your abundance center. And if you are getting a little fearful about money, moving your hips, breathing it up and breathing that energy up, and doing something that's pleasurable is going to actually make your hormones feel more comfortable, but it brings more abundance into your life.
Absolutely, it does. And I mean, that's our power center. And us women have been taught to hide it, suck it in, pretend it isn't there.
Yes, yes.
Power center. So we don't want to do that. We want to allow it to be. And it has nothing to do with the size of it. There's nothing to be self-conscious about. It's about recognizing that's what grounds you. That's where your power as a woman truly comes from.
Yes, that's so true. And that's that power zone, your second chakra, as those who study the chakra system, that is your true creativity center. That's where we as women are able to manifest our dreams. Our greatest power comes from that center. And having that pleasure is so important. And it's so important to do little daily things. For me, it's having a really good glass of nice cool water on a hot summer day.
Yeah.
And other times it's just sitting outside and just relaxing and feeling the sun. So just little things that you can do for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or while you're cooking dinner or doing other activities will help you to really become more powerful. And you also have some tools for couples that that you would like to talk about a little bit, if I understood that correctly. Can you tell us a little bit on how do you have more vibrancy as a couple or in your relationships in general?
I can. I think we're miscommunicating a little bit because it's a couple of tools that I
Yes.
have, not really for couples. They're for individuals, the ones that I had thought I would share with you.
Mhm.
However, I am more than happy to talk about either. So which would you like me to talk about? A couple tools
I
for the listeners?
love it if you would talk about a couple of tools for the women
Okay.
so that they can have a more vibrant and powerful life.
Okay, awesome. So, this is actually perfect because you were just talking about those little pleasurable things, right?
Yes.
And one of the tools that I love to teach is something that I created that I call NET, N-E-T, NET. And the whole idea behind it is that throughout any given day, there are so many little pleasurable moments that come and go. But our brain, according to Dr. Rick Hansen, who wrote Hardwiring Happiness, he talks about how your brain is actually wired like Velcro for negative experiences, for dangerous, painful, problematic things. It's like Velcro for those, but it's like Teflon for the really good ones, right? So I was really excited when I read this because I had already created NET, and I love using it to help people to take advantage of the pleasurable moments and really anchor them in. Because if they're going to flit through like they're on Teflon, if we can help that, if we can change it, we can actually change our lives. So this tool, it's an acronym, and it's 3 letters, N-E-T. And so the first letter is N, notice. It's simply paying attention to those little pleasurable moments when they come up and taking advantage of them by letting yourself be in that moment. And I know that's scary for some people, but what I mean is just for that moment, let go of your to-do list, forget about all the things that you have to do, and just be there. So for example, going outside in the sunshine, like you were talking about. You get outside, you feel the warmth of the sun, especially if you've been in air conditioning or if it's a cool day. Where I live, it's still quite cool. You can go outside and you feel the sun on your face and you can just notice, oh, this is so nice. You don't have to do anything more than feel it. Okay, so that's noticing the moment. And just to be clear, this could be hitting a string of green lights. This could be cuddling with your child. This could be playing fetch with a dog. This could be seeing a pretty butterfly fly by or listening to a bird that sounds really beautiful. It's not a big thing. It doesn't have to be. It's just any little pleasurable moment, something that you enjoy. And then the E, the second thing, is to expand the emotion. So if you've tuned into where you feel emotion in your body, typically what you're feeling in that moment will be somewhere from the heart chakra down in the trunk of the body, okay? But it doesn't really matter that if you have trouble identifying it. Just put your hand where you think that feeling is. So in that moment, you might be feeling contentment, happiness, groundedness, excitement, love. You could be feeling any kind of happy, beautiful feeling. Put your hand where you think it is, and then just picture that feeling expanding. So sometimes I even have people move their hands out like it's a balloon filling up, and just feel that expanding. And what's beautiful about this is the more you do this, the more you'll get tuned into where you do feel certain things, will allow you to expand other feelings, even when you're not having a real pleasurable moment, but still a good one. And it also attracts that kind of energy back to you, right? So it helps to ground in that moment. So now you've noticed what's going on. Now you're paying attention, expanding the emotion. And the third thing is to tie it down with thoughts. And so we naturally do this all the time with the negatives, right? We think, oh, how could he have cut me off? He could have caused an accident. How dare he? I should report him. And we think things over and over and over again when something bad happens. But in this case, it's something good. So tie it down with good thoughts. Oh, I love my life. I'm so glad I came outside at this time when the sun was shining. I so appreciate this friendship. I'm having such a great day. Whatever, just tie it down with happy thoughts. And when you attach more thoughts to a memory and increase the emotional intensity of it, you are anchoring it in. That's what makes those negative things anchor in. And so now you've just Velcroed that pleasurable moment into your brain. And when you do that, what you'll find is that at the end of the day, when somebody says to you, how was your day? Instead of thinking, oh, I had a flat tire, I spilled coffee on my shirt, I was late for a meeting, the client was really upset with me. Instead of doing all that, you'll kind of pause and go, I had some troublesome things happen, but I had a lot of really great things happen too. And so all in all, it was a really good day. Now imagine if you do that over a week. And now looking back on your week, you're going, what a great week it was. And it's little things like smelling fresh cut grass, seeing a butterfly, watching a hummingbird that have helped to make that week so special. So it's such a simple little tool. And I should say, all of that takes about 30 seconds to do. It sounds longer because it took me a while to explain it, but all you're doing is noticing, expanding the feeling, and tying it down with thoughts. That's it. Takes no time at all. So if you start to practice that, just notice those things, grab a couple of them. Don't try to do all of the ones you have in a day because you'll exhaust yourself. But grab a couple, see how it goes, and notice how much you start attracting these things back to you. So that's one of my favorite tools for helping a woman reconnect with her own vibrancy, her own power.
Wow. That's really a powerful tool, because when you start retraining to have Velcro on the happier, you'll start noticing, and it's just 30 seconds, just 30 seconds can completely change your attitude about life, can completely change your life over just as short as a week.
Absolutely, it does. And it feels so good. So it's a great way to get your pleasure in without feeling like, oh my gosh, how am I going to add even one more thing in my day? Don't tell me I have to do that. You don't at the beginning. You can just tie in all these little pleasurable moments, and that'll be enough. Eventually, it'd be great to have you grow even beyond that, but that's a great place to start.
That's a phenomenal place to start. And Debbie, we're going to be wrapping it up in a few more minutes. Could you tell us a little bit about, you mentioned earlier that you are going to teach individuals about a certain type of breathing, that the oxytocin breath. And can you tell us a little bit about the stress less, live more?
Sure.
And a little bit more about how people can get a hold of that.
Absolutely. So Stress Less, Live More is a giveaway that I would like to offer to everybody that tells you about 9 or more different tips that you can use to really start tapping into the stress you're experiencing in your life and ways that you can get rid of that. So the oxytocin breath is a perfect example of just a simple way that you breathe, that when you release the breath, it gets oxytocin flowing through the body and can really help you to feel so much better, and it gets love flowing. It feels really good. It's a pleasure breath. That's what it truly is a pleasure breath. And so I teach you how to do that in there, and then I talk about a whole bunch of different little things that you can easily incorporate into your life, because the reality is we lead very stressful lives. And when we have these kinds of tools, you can never have too many. And when we have these kind of tools, it can help to really make you feel great about yourself. And it's, shifting your sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic, rest and digest from the fight and flight, and so on. So people can get that. It's actually, there is an icon for it on my site in the right margin, which my site is Empowering NRG, the 3 letters NRG. so empoweringenergy.com. But I have made a bit.ly link. So if people want to try the bit.ly link, it's bit.ly/stress less, live more. So that's how they would get that.
Wow. Wow, Debbie, that is super phenomenal. And a lot of times the love breath, the oxytocin, that reduces inflammation in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It absolutely does. And it helps to burn off cortisol. It does a lot of great things.
yeah, so definitely that's a phenomenal gift, and it's free, completely free for those who are
Absolutely.
listening. Just wanted to clarify, all you have to do is go to the website, let her know that you would like it, and put in your name, your email, and she'll send it to you directly.
I will. And can I say one last little add-on that I'd like to do just for your
Yes.
people? Okay. We were going to talk a little bit about things that you can do, things that make a great boss a great mom, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would love to send that article if people are interested in knowing what are some of these commonalities and how they can get double bang for their buck. If they want that, they can, when they get the Stress Less, Live More, just reply to that email saying, please send me the 10 great boss tips. And I'd be happy to send them that article as well, if they would like that. They can find it by searching it. It is on Easy and it is out there already, but I'm happy to send it right to their inbox and they don't have to search at all. And they'll have those little tips that will help with all the things we were talking about already today.
Wow. Wow. Having it all in one space is so important, especially when you're really, really busy.
Yeah.
These days.
I know. And you just need to take a few minutes to read it, but if you try to search it, who knows what rabbit hole you'll end up going down and off into that you'll end up reading instead, which is good, but yeah, I'm happy to send it right to them.
That sounds great. Debbie, this has been a phenomenal interview, and I really, really appreciate you being on the Wealthy Wednesday show. Is there any last tips that you would like to leave our audience before we wrap it up?
I would just like to remind everybody that you truly are perfect already at the role of being you. You're not broken. You're not missing anything. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to wait till you're successful to feel like you're good or anything. You are already absolutely perfect at the role of being you. And when we can really fully embrace that and hold it near and dear, then we can realize that everything I do is really just icing on the cake. It's just extra. It makes it good. It's an okay thing to have, but I'm already enough. And that's really important that we really hold on to that. So if nothing else, I would love for them to take that message and run with it. And I'm sure a lot of them already know this and believe it, but you can never hear it too much, right?
That's true. That is absolutely true. And really being empowered is so crucial for the wave of the future, for the way we're going to be raising our families, and for the way that we are going to stand up and be tuned into who we truly are, and understanding that you're perfectly fine at being you the way you are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, thank you, Debbie, for being on the Wealthy Wednesday show. This has been fun. It's been a blast. And you've given us so many tips, and especially the pleasure. I just love the pleasure one that you gave us. So thank you. And
you are very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank my audience. You are why I'm putting together the Wealthy Wednesday show every single week. I am so grateful for you, and I would love it if you would go to my Facebook page at facebook.com/Wealthy Wednesday Show. Let me know, what did you think about this show? What topics would you like me to have on the show? And if there's anybody that you know that would be a phenomenal guest that you would like to introduce me to, let me know about that too. So until next week, abundant blessings. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wealthy Wednesday Show. This is your host, Luci McMonagle, and I would love to keep in touch with you by giving you a very special gift that will help you move your business and your life forward. You can access this special gift I am giving to you at my website at lucimcmonagle.com. That's LuciMonagle.com for keeping in touch with me and getting access to a gift that will help you move your business and life forward. Until next time, abundant blessings.